Hi everyone, welcome to Workshop Wrenching.
Welcome to the channel. Thanks for tuning into today's episode. I'm Pete and I've been crashing, repairing, modifying and selling all sorts of vehicles over the past 20 years. All of the work I do myself in my humble little garage at the end of the driveway. There are no super expensive tools in my workshop. Sometimes I have to make things happen with a hammer and a grinder, but you will see what I mean as the channel goes on. So let's get down to business and take a look at what we've done with this Fiat 500.
This is a Fiat 500 of 1.2 lounge, and I bought the car from Copart, and we'll talk about that a little more in a later episode. From the Copart photos, it's clear that this car's taken a swipe down the driver's side. To me, it looks like damage to the front bumper, the wing, door, sill, rear quarter, so pretty much the full side of this car is going to need attention. Looking around the rest of the car, as you can see, it's fairly tidy, although it's pretty dirty inside, so we're going to give that some attention too. Once you have the car back at the workshop, simply a quick wash makes it look better, and a clean car of course is easy to work on. The front bumper didn't need any more than a polish to remove the rubber marks, so that's going to save time and costs of repairs. Let's jump right into how we repair that rear quarter panel. I use this spot welding machine and I'll cover this in detail later in the series. I started by marking out the damaged area with a Sharpie to help focus on where to put the wavy wires. A quick spin up with the flat wheel takes that paint off, and then we can spot weld the wavy wires into place. After a few tugs of the slide hammer and a bit of white primer, it makes it easier to see the overall progress, and you can see the panel is now coming back into shape. After several rounds of welding and moving the panel around, you can see it's now in a fairly good state. There is more to do here, but let's pause and take a look at that front wing. I used this hammer and dolly set to bash the wing back into shape. It was possible because, as you saw in the earlier photos, the swage line was still very clear, but to be honest, it would have been much faster and easier to replace this wing, and if I was to do this job again, I would choose to do that. So once the wing is back into shape, I use a little filler, Bondo if you're across the pond, followed by a bit of sanding with this long bed sander and Abranet P320. We can review the combo of this in a later episode. And then we move on to primer. Remember, I'm doing all of this in my garage at the end of the drive, so there is no fancy spray booth. Now the front wing is ready for final paint, let's get back to the rear quarter panel. Now I fitted a replacement door, luckily it's in the same colour as the car, so no painting required here. Earlier we saw that the quarter panel damage was further up the panel than it originally looked, so now we add a very fine layer of filler, Bondo, so we can feather in the panel. High build primer, which is the yellow layer, gives a few more microns to play with, and then a rough coat of primer shows up any further issues we need to address. I'll probably video this process in time lapse on the next build so you can actually see that whole process. I used the same steps to pull out the minor damage to the sill of the rail if you're in the US, and so the side is now ready for paint prep. Backmasking is a great method when you don't want sharp edges at the line of your paint, and this is something I need to practice, so we'll work through this in a whole series on prepping for paint. I lay down 2 coats of grain primer, and out of personal preference I don't sand between coats. I prefer to let the primer dry overnight and work it flat with the long bed sander and Abranet 600 this time. Ta-da! Paint time means setting up the paint gun entirely differently to primer. And I have to say, a better plan is to have a primer gun and a paint gun, and this is something I intend to have in place before I paint the Porsche. Oh, that's probably a plug of what's coming later on in the channel. And here's what's happening when you're too excited for paint. It means bad prep. Here we've got crazing, there's also some paint runs. Not to worry though, it's only paint. I left it for a couple of days to be sure it's properly hard, and then the trusty long bed sander to clean back the runs and clean off the crazing. 2 more coats of paint later, and we're all good. Pulling back the plastic sheeting and the masking tape shows the fade line that we need to polish out to make that seamless colour transition. For this I used the DAS Pro Dual Action Polisher. This is great for newbies like me, it doesn't burn the paint, so it's really hard to screw it up. We'll be giving one of our cars a complete detail using this, so don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss that. Now we have flat, shiny paintwork, and the wing mirror cover is painted and fitted. Actually, that gives me an idea. I can use the wing mirror cover to demonstrate the painting errors I've made and how to fix them. So that's a note for a future episode. Finally then, let's get onto the interior. As you can see, it's pretty disgusting. Although this is really easy to resolve. A bucket of clean warm water with a little laundry detergent is all we need. We scrub with a soft brush, even a cloth will do. The results are quick and pretty amazing. We use the same solution to wipe over the door cards, dashboard and steering wheel, and then we buff off all of the plastics with a clean dry cloth, and pretty much you're all done. So even the wheels cleaned up with just a little bit of elbow grease, no chips or damages to the rims, which is great news. In all, it took around 40 hours to repair this little Fiat 500. If I was to do this again, I would have painted the replacement door. You can see the slight colour difference in the sun. The final little touch was I found a genuine sat-nav on eBay. It just kind of finishes the car and it's now ready for sale.
Well, that's the Fiat 500 repaired. It has actually sold. To see what this car cost to buy, repair and paint, tune into the next video. Also, if you like the content on my channel, please hit the subscribe button, and if you want to be alerted when content goes live, hit that bell button to get the notification. Feel free to leave comments and suggestions down below, and there's lots more to come on this channel, such as flipping cars with trade-in, learning to weld, learning to paint, as you've heard earlier, building and racing a lawnmower. Seriously, there is actually a motorsport all about this, and I look forward to showing you what the next project car is sitting in the workshop right now. Thanks for watching, see you on the next one.